Bob Fraley.
Here, present.
Anna Moore. Gerard Morrison. Margot Pensaval. Iris Riggs. Kelly Scone. James Webb. We have a quorum.
Great. Excellent. Thank you all for your work yesterday. We're looking forward to a morning meeting here. And we start with item 20, which is the report of the accreditation team to San Mateo Foster City School District. Consultant Sarah Colombini Solari will introduce the item. And joining her by video is team lead Lori Goldstein. Lori, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. And then at the table, institutional representative Beth Luttrell, coordinator of California Teacher Induction. Anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Solari, please begin.
Okay, good morning. This item is a report on the accreditation site visit to San Mateo Foster City School District that occurred on February 13th through the 15th of this year. The visit was a thorough and in-depth review of the induction program and was based on multiple sources of evidence, including the district's accreditation website and multiple interviews. I would like to thank the district and Beth Luttrell for being well prepared and having multiple sources of evidence for the team to evaluate against the common and program standards. It made the site visit an easy one in the sense that everything was easily accessible. The team was able to access everything. So I would also like to thank Lori Walker Goldstein for her leadership on this site visit. Her wisdom and experience really helped this team just sail through this site visit. We also had the assistance of team members Caroline Satota and Gail Calhoun. Of course, we couldn't have completed this visit without their help. So I am joined at the table via Zoom with Lori Walker Goldstein. She recently got married. That's why I'm referring to her with two names, because in the report it says Lori Walker, and I know that her name is Lori Goldstein now that she's married. So that's why I'm referring to her as both names. And then I also have right next to me Beth Luttrell. This is San Mateo Foster City's induction director. So I'll hand this over to Lori so that she can share the highlights of this visit.
Thanks, Sarah. Yes, just yet another place to do the name change. It keeps piling up. So good morning to Sarah, Beth, and the Committee of Accreditation members. It's really my pleasure to share our recommendation to the COA regarding the San Mateo Foster City site visit. I really concur with Sarah in terms of the organization that the program leadership and constituents did for us both pre and during the visit. It was really made things simple for the team to come to the conclusion. So after close examination of the evidence provided via the accreditation website and the interviews conducted, the site visit team has made the recommendation of accreditation. The recommendation is based on all of the common standards and program standards being met. Some of the highlights that I'd love to share with the COA is that really this program jumped both feet into the new standards, and that was truly evident in the interviews, the evidence review, in conversations with the director and actually district leadership as well. They fully embraced the new standards, and really what came out in the interviews was some highlights in some of the comments from the candidates and mentors is that the program was truly supportive, customized, not overwhelming. It supported their practice and helped them feel really connected to the San Mateo Foster City District at large, which was no small feat because many of their teachers are commuting long distances to the district. And I can see that that might become a barrier, but it truly wasn't in this case, that they really did feel part of the larger community of the district. And in particular, I would really love to commend the leadership, in particular Beth Luttrell, because they all knew who she was. She was in their classroom, going out to them, leaving them feedback, notes, and encouragement, really trying to tailor the professional development and support that each teacher needed. So having that ability to reach each of the candidates was truly something that is rare and appreciated by the candidates in the program. And so with that, I would like to conclude and recommend accreditation for San Mateo Foster City to the COA.
Yes, it is. So we're going to call on the institution now to say a few words about the visit, and this is not a time to dispute the team findings, but rather provide any thoughts that you may have about the visit.
I feel really fortunate to be in the green cohort because we were able to jump in with both feet, and getting that immediate feedback was helpful. This new focus on meeting what the teachers need instead of going through a series of forms it's just music to my ears. I love the new standards, and I love the commitment. I want to thank Lori, and I want to thank Sarah, and also Carolyn and Gail, because they made it easy. They came and they caused us to have to dig pretty deeply, but they made it really easy for the principals and the candidates to say what they needed to say. The principals were really apprehensive, and they came out saying, "Oh, they were nice. These people were so nice." I still see candidates, and they say, "Oh, I loved going and getting to share what we were doing with our mentors." Of course, I want to thank our Board of Trustees and our superintendent and the executive cabinet, my boss in Ed Services, because they have embraced induction. They have embraced that what we're doing is working for the students. And so that vision is all through the district. And the mentors, I was talking to my husband the other day, and I said, my mentor, and he said, "Are these your mentors?" And it was an interesting question because yes, they are. Those mentors mentor me as well as those teachers, and they're what makes this program what it is. So thank you to the site visit, but also I want to thank this committee, and I want to thank the commission, because I've had the very good pleasure of serving with some of you on different accreditation activities, and that's the best professional learning that I've had. So our teachers are getting better. We know that because of the student data. And all of that's because of all of this. And so what you're doing around this table as volunteers is really making a difference for kids in California, because it's making a difference for their teachers. So thank you.
Well, and thank you for the eloquent comments. And it's nice to know that all the work that we do together for the good of our students and the children of California are having some good benefits. So we do appreciate that very much. All right. Anybody have any comments or suggestions? Not comments or suggestions. Comments or questions? It's early. Well, I think the report was very well done. We appreciate the detail of the report, and we feel that the findings are well justified. I mean, may I go on make a motion, or we have a question? We do have one.
We've worked together
Yes.
over the years, and I just want to compliment you back. First, you got a little teary there. That was really nice, and having that growth mindset to go from what we were tasked to do 6, 7, 8 years ago to a totally different system, and having it come out the way it did, and being the green cohort. I mean, it's great work, and the fact that you're out in the field and talking to teachers is really amazing and wonderful, and thank you for doing what you're doing for the students of California.
Thank you. Any other comments? Committee Member Forbes.
I'd also like to congratulate you, and I would like to move that we accept the team's recommendation and for accreditation and the report.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Committee Member Scone. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Absolutely. So thank you, Ms. Luttrell. Thank you, Ms. Goldstein and Ms. Solari. And congratulations on your marriage.
We're all on the camera. Let's go over here.
We have a 9:30 time certain, but we are actually early, and we have all parties who are ready and available. So moved on to item 21. That's the report of the accreditation team to Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. Consultant Gay Roby will introduce the item. Joining her by video is team lead Carol Klaus and institutional representatives Cynthia Perulin-Colfer, the superintendent, Dr. Judy A. Fancher, did I pronounce that correctly?
Fancher.
Thank you. Thank you. Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, Pre-K to 12. Jill Rojas, the Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and Joanne Chen, Coordinator of Instructional Services. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? All right, seeing none, Ms. Roby, please begin.
Over there. Thank you very much. The site visit for Hacienda La Puente Unified School District occurred on February the 27th through March the 1st of this year. It is the closest district office to my home, so it was a real easy one for me to just bop over the hill to visit them. The offices for this district are in the City of Industry, about 15 miles east of Los Angeles, if you don't know where that is. They sponsor a single program, a teacher induction program that serves both general education and special education. The team consisted of the team lead, a common standard reviewer, and a program sampling team member as well. The visit occurred according to all of the normal accreditation protocols, and I have to add the team was so strong in getting their work done early that we were finished on day 2 at noon, and the team was able to go home early with the new streamlined plans. And so I'd like to introduce or turn this over to Carol Klaus, who is the team lead for this visit up in Lancaster.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District and Joanne Chan and her induction team. We are very warmly welcomed, and their hospitality and availability and organization was excellent and greatly appreciated. And a special thank you to Gay for her guidance along the way, and also a thank you to our site visit team, Shauna Smith, and particularly Alida Powers, who joined us at the last minute because we had someone drop out, and she jumped right in with less than a week notice to help out on the visit. And the Hacienda La Puente School District is very, very committed to the induction program, and this is evidence in every department that we spoke to in interviews. And it confirmed the induction team collaborates with everyone, and they integrate induction activities with all the district initiatives and resources. And the program is an integral part of the district, and they make sure that all of their teachers, site administrators, mentors, all have support. And I know Joanne goes above and beyond, and she is responsive, and the site administrators were complimenting her on how if they call her, she is there, or part of her induction staff is there at a site helping a teacher immediately. And we are very impressed with how organized everything is and how this is a very easy site visit because everything was in line. And I want to thank everyone in the district for making it an easy site visit. And our team came up that all program standards and all common standards are met, and the overall recommendation is full accreditation. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Klaus. We now like to call on the institution to say a few words about the visit. This is not the time to dispute the team findings, but rather provide any thoughts that you may have about the visit.
Yes, our district had a very great experience during the accreditation site visit. We're very excited to meet the site visit team, and we have the opportunity to share our experiences in the teacher induction here. And the team was very helpful, and the findings and the feedback will help us strengthen our program, and really look forward to doing it next year.
Thank you. Would any other member of the institution wish to comment?
We had a really great visit with everyone, and I especially enjoyed my time with all of you. And I think I really appreciated that they were able to provide some, conversation and discussion with Joanne, but their openness to have the dialogue with all of our teachers who actually showed up, our mentors did, that the first visit, I think really kind of helped for our team to understand how important it was to go through this accreditation with CTC, because I think it helped to solidify our practices and what we do in terms of integration of ensuring our new teachers are receiving the quality kind of mentorship as well as the information and the professional development that we employ for them. So thank you very much for the team. Really appreciated your time with us.
Great, thank you for the comments. That's an opportunity for the committee to make any comments or ask any questions. Committee Member Balatayo.
Hello. So I'm looking at the report, and it's a very, very good report. I just wanted to ask about on page 8 here, it says that candidates, in terms of selecting their district professional development sessions, instead candidates prefer to go to sessions that they were paid to attend instead of sessions that might better match their ILP goals. I just want to ask more about that, and if there's a way that you could ameliorate that situation in terms of having a better match that could address the ILP goals a little bit more, a little bit better instead.
Yes. So what we're looking forward to work with the mentors and the candidates, the site administrators, and the induction staff is to review and to help develop the candidates' initial ILP, and then also let them know we have our district PD calendar and how it can align with their ILP goals, and that also aligns with the California Standards of Teaching Profession. So we're looking to work on that next school year to help the candidates align the ILP goals with the PD calendar that we have.
I might also add that you can sort of see along our back wall that we have asked our administrators as well what professional development they need, so that we're sure to be offering PD that the teachers need, so that we have a give and take. So we've asked teachers and we've asked administrators to give input as to the PD that we offer. And then, as Joanne says, having the mentors and the administrators work with the candidates to make sure that they're signing up for the PD that matches their goals.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other committee member have any comment or question? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Motion from Co-Chair Moore to accept the team recommendation. Is there a second? Second by Committee Member Borges. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations for your report and the good work there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Kovler, Dr. Fancher, Ms. Rojas, Ms. Chan, Ms. Claus, and Ms. Roby. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a comment? I'm sorry.
Before they all leave, I just have to share with you, the standards require our mentors to have ongoing training as well. And they have 2 full-time release mentors, and one of them, he spent his entire Memorial weekend or Labor Day weekend, I get them confused, designing an escape room ongoing training for their mentors. So they came in and had to work out a series of puzzles that were all about the training pieces before they could escape the room and finish their ongoing training. So
how fun!
We're hoping they will
play?
share that at the induction conference as well, because it just sounds like
that sounds fun. All right, thanks, Kay. Great fun.
Thank you.
All right, thank you again, all. Thank you. I think somebody should move that we do an escape room here at our next meeting. Trap, that's true. All right. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, item 22 is time certain at 10, and oh my gosh. Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And I set up the times we go by when people are available, you know, and not the fact that all these reports for the second day are all standards met.
Right.
So I apologize for being able to whisk through these.
Yeah. This is going to be Westmont. Yeah, I'll just wait until that gets settled. Oh, my. Oh, wow. My. Well, we're going to move on to item 22 since everybody is here. Excuse me. Item 22 is the report of the accreditation team to Westmont College. Consultant Katie Corey will introduce the item, and joining her at the table is team lead Dr. Jill Hamilton Bunch and institutional representative Dr. Jane Wilson, department chair. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? All right, seeing none, Ms. Corey, will you please begin?
Thank you. The Westmont site visit took place on March 18th through the 20th, and it was the beautiful campus in Santa Barbara. We enjoyed the beauty there when we got to look outside. We were inside most of the time. I will say the team worked very hard, and I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Wilson and her team for all their hard work in preparing for the site visit. It was an unusual time for them, and it was difficult for them to prepare because of all of the Mother Nature's concerns. And I'm going to just highlight a few of those, not because it impacted their preparation, but just because I feel like I want to have that on the record here, just to say it was very unusual in the fact that they were part of the Montecito area where the Thomas Fire and the Montecito mudslides occurred. And their accreditation process and their majors, their staff majors, their work with faculty students, they were evacuated from their campus twice, many of them from their homes and their apartments. Exams were administered online. School was dismissed early. The candidates did all of their work. They kept going. They kept going and going. I felt like the Energizer bunnies for those kids that were there. We were all excited because the spring semester actually began finally in about the second week in January. And the very next day it was closed again because of lack of water. So they all had to leave again. Return dates changed many, many times. The student teacher placements were difficult, but the students got there. They somehow managed. Freeways were closed. Some of them had police escorts. Some of them worked with a substitute teacher because the master teachers couldn't get there from their homes. They were displaced, and many, many students were displaced, and students had to go to different locations even than they were assigned to find their students to be able to teach them. So I just want to commend the university for their tenacity to rise to the occasion to meet all of this and to make all of this work with their portable showers, their portable water, their portable cooking facilities, and finally getting back in. The team was excited because when they got there, they thought all this weather is over and all these things are done, and here we are. And we even offered them the opportunity to wait and say, do you want to do this next year? And they said, oh, no, we are going to make this happen. Of course, I think they were tired of having me talk with them every week, and so they probably were ready to go. But we want to thank you for going the extra mile, truly, in many, many opportunities. And we thought everything was fine, so we were going to be able to write that the accreditation visit occurred without exceptions and without exceptionality. And the day before the end of the visit, evacuation was called again because of new mudslides, potential mudslides. And I want to comment on Marilyn Drawham because she left. I called Cheryl and she said, get the team out. And they had done their work. We had done most of the writing. Jill stayed and we worked together to pull all the things together for the report, and we're able to give the report before we left. But we sent the team out early, and it was a good thing we did. But I just want to honor Marilyn Drawham because she left it before 6 a.m. that morning, and she finally arrived back on her University of Pacific campus at about 9:30 that night. Yeah. So from Santa Barbara to, not too far. She had to figure out a way to get there. There weren't any cars. The flights were all canceled. It was one thing after another. But I never heard one complaint from her. Not one complaint. She didn't email me and say, don't do this to me again, or don't ever put me on another site visit, or what's up with you, Katie Croy. So I just want to commend her for that and for just her efforts. It was just amazing. So the report was completed. Everyone was a trooper. Jill made everything run smoothly. And now I would like to turn this over to Jill, who will report the team's findings.
push, this one that says push. As Katie said, it was very unusual with all of the different barriers, but there were no barriers as far as folks being willing to interview. We had to interview some people on a different day because they were evacuating the schools the next day. And so we had to shift some interviews simply so that they could go to an emergency meeting at the county office. So to a person, they were accommodating and willing to shift. And it was very powerful to see them still be willing to be part of this process, even though there was a lot going on for them in their daily school lives in the community. Just some hallmarks of this program. There's field work throughout. Their field work begins very early. There are 6 different opportunities for their candidates to be in the field. I think the strongest hallmark of this program is that they're very deeply embedded in their community, and that came up over and over again in the review, as well as in interviews with community members. They're seen as not only being relevant, but as being additive to the school community, not just in teacher preparation, but in other areas of professional development. There is much real world application because of that, and there is also a lot of real world application in the courses themselves with scenario work and very applicable situations to study during the course of schooling. Holistic assessment is a hallmark as well. They have a finishing assessment and a portfolio that they're building throughout their time there that was particularly impressive. So we recommend full accreditation. All standards were met. There's a preliminary multiple subject credential and a single subject credential only traditional. And I will turn it over to Jane.
It's a privilege to be here, and it was a very challenging year. So thank you for acknowledging that. And it really was a pleasure to have the team at our site. You know, preparing for accreditation visit is very challenging, just with the paperwork and inviting so many people up to campus. But it's also brings to mind what is really significant in our program. And I think through our words and our writing and the interviews, we were able to demonstrate even though we have a small program, we really seek to build strong relationships within the program, teaching our students the importance of relationships to great teaching. And every year we partner with about 120 local teachers and principals. And so many of them came up to campus for interviews, and we just couldn't be successful without those great partnerships. So that felt, the Sunday afternoon you arrived, which was a gorgeous day in Santa Barbara, and so many people came up for the reception. It just was a really great moment in life to see so many people that have helped our student teachers launch into a great career, and that we have great partnerships. Another hallmark of our program, in addition to the real world experiences, is we really emphasize dispositions towards teaching right from the beginning and throughout. And I feel like that really helps our student teachers to shine in their placements and really shine in their career. So even though it's a lot of hard work, we were so grateful to have it done, particularly in light of that we got evacuated on the end, and of course to have being affirmed in the work that we do. So overall, it was hard work, but a great experience.
Great. Thank you for the comments. This is an action item, but we first have to do some discussion. So any discussion at all from committee members? Well, the comment I would like to make is a congratulations. The report looks very solid and thorough. Thank you both for the work in the team report, especially under all the difficult circumstances. I can only imagine how challenging it must have been, but obviously you rise from the ashes and the mud to make this thing happen, so it looks very impressive. So as an action item, are there any motion to accept? Motion from committee member Bellatayo to accept the team report. Is there a second? Second from committee member Riggs. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Again, congratulations.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, so we want to thank all those involved here, and we appreciate your work. So thank you, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Hamilton Bunch, and thank you, Ms. Corey.
Wasn't sure how long that would go.
Sure, we can do that. All right, we're ahead of schedule. Let's take a break till 9:45. We're moving on to item 23 now. It's item 23 is the report of the accreditation team to San Juan Unified School District. Consultant Sarah Colombini Solari will introduce the item. And joining her by video is team lead Barbara Severns and institutional representative Katie Petrone. Is that correct?
Kate Petrone, yes.
Oh, Kate Petrone, thank you. Director of the induction program. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Seeing none, Ms. Solari, would please begin.
Thank you. Thank you for your flexibility, Barbara and Kate. I appreciate it this morning. We were going a lot faster than we anticipated. So, good morning. This item is a report of the accreditation site visit to San Juan Unified School District, which is just actually about maybe 10 miles northeast of the commission. So it was a short little jaunt for me. And I would like to, again, thank the school district for their preparation for this visit. The visit was another thorough and in-depth review of the induction program that exists at that district. It was based on multiple sources of evidence, again, including the district's accreditation website and multiple interviews that were conducted at the site visit. I would also like to thank Barbara Severns for her leadership, as well as our two team members, Valerie Saylor and Cloetta Vini, who were also part of this site visit. Kate Petrone is the district's induction director, and her leadership there is much appreciated as well. So both the director and the team lead are on Zoom, and so I'd like to hand this over to Barbara Severns, the team lead, first, so that she can share the highlights of this visit as well as the team's findings and recommendation.
Okay. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good, thank you. First, on behalf of our team, I really want to thank the San Juan Induction Program for all of their organization and the support that they provided us both before the visit and then during our visit. We observed strong evidence of a mentoring program and the job embedded program that they have. Support for that program is evident from all areas of the district, from the school board to all of the site administrators, as well as their mentoring team. The transition to the new program standards and common standards is also very well established. I know you've noted that there was some inconsistency with one area in Common Standard 1 for recruitment and faculty development for diversity and excellence. We expanded our interview process and found that the area of diversity is a struggle for the district, but it's also an area that they've begun to address prior to our visit. And because of that, our team unanimously makes the recommendation of accreditation.
All right, thank you. This is now an opportunity for the institution to make any comments. It's not a chance to dispute the findings, but rather to offer any thoughts that you had about the visit.
I really appreciated the communication before the visit and during the visit, and I was kept up to speed about what was happening, and I thought it went really smoothly, and I appreciate their leadership.
All right, thank you. Anybody at the committee have an opportunity to review the file and make any comments or suggestions, or rather any questions? Committee Member Balatayo.
Hello. Just a quick question regarding Common Standard 1. How will you improve retention and hiring of faculty that represent diversity and excellence in your schools?
So this is something we've been working on for the last 2 years. We actually hired a director of equity that has been focusing on this. And they just contracted with an outside consultant to work with HR to look at our practices and our protocols for how we hire and retain a diverse workforce. So that's something that was just implemented in the last in the last 2 months. We're also starting to do exit interviews with people of color that were non-reelected to see what their experience was and to see if we can see any patterns with that. We work with CSUS with their social justice department, and we have teams on different campuses that are leading that work that are becoming trainer of trainers.
Okay. Is there a long-term plan in maintaining this the system, or adding more plans in the future to, safeguard this improvement in a more consistent pattern?
Yes, it has been growing for the past 2 years since the Director of Equity, we started that role, and there's been some teachers on special assignment put into ATOSA or into the position to help with the Director of Equity and working with school sites directly to help retain our teachers of color and work with HR on recruitment too. So it's something that's okay.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Motion from Committee Member Scone to accept the team recommendation. Is there a second? Second by Committee Member Forbes. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Patron, Ms. Severance, and Ms. Solari. Thank you very much. Cheryl, are we ready for 24? Yeah.
The next item is, our last item exactly, is the discussion about the use of the report templates for next year. So I know you started talking a little bit about this yesterday, but it sounds like there seems to be some support for the new template. In the last 2 days, you had examples of both the longer version and the shorter version. So just wanted to open it up, see what you think for next year. Should we adopt it for all programs or all institutions, large and small? And should there be any changes that you would like to see? So just opening it up for discussion.
Committee Member Scone.
I really thought it was like clean and or maybe I'm just not talking loud enough. I really thought it was clean and easy to read. I loved the links to the previous reports. That was something that, like in previous years, we didn't have, and so I really like that. And just the organization of it, everything. It was unified. I just thought I like it. Yeah.
Committee Member Forbes.
I agree. I also really liked it, and so my question would be primarily for staff. I can't really tell. Would anything be lost by moving from the longer form to the shorter form? And if so, how could we integrate it?
Well, one thing that we learned on the smaller institution forms is that we need to do more training with team members for common standards about how to give you the detail that you need without making it lengthy, unnecessarily lengthy. So I know that Cheryl and I have talked about that. Regardless of if you expand it to the larger institutions or don't, we know that we worry about that, and in some cases have sent it back to the team and asked for a little more detail. So that's a training issue more than a template issue.
So 2 questions. What happens, because I don't know what happens when you have a big district? How is that encapsulated in such a really nice template like this? I'm thinking LAUSD. How would that, would there be things missing, or how would that, I don't know, how would the full scope of a district that large be captured in a template this efficient?
I think there's a couple of things that we need to make sure, and I think I agree with Catherine. I think it's a training issue and maybe a clarification of what goes in some of the narrative sections. So like the institutional level information at the very end, that's definitely where you can capture the variety of programs that an institution offers, and that whether they're housed in a lot of different places. So I think so far it seems to have worked well, and I think that what we need to do is I was a little worried about the consistency in the rationales and in the additional information sections. And so I think we can work on maybe some guidance as to what goes in those sections, but it actually turned out in the end to be, I thought, more consistent than I expected it to be. So the teams found a way to kind of address what they thought they needed to address in those sections. So it surprised me.
I actually think that because we've moved the program reports to the front, so you're reading all about, so it doesn't matter if there's 20 programs or 3 programs, you're still going to get the program reports. What I think may be beneficial in a larger institution is the use of those consistent, inconsistent, not evidence columns. Because if it's a large institution and there's 10 programs, that capturing how it's inconsistent in narrative is different than looking down and saying, okay, inconsistent, which to me might alert me to look for narrative language about it's in some programs or it's not in some programs, or it might be it's inconsistent across all programs. So they would have to, team members would have to, clarify how it's inconsistent. But I think kind of that, I think Cheryl referred to it yesterday as quantitative, or maybe, someone on this side. And so that aspect you have in the new template that you didn't have in the other template.
Another question. One more, please. So what I really like is up front, it's, we have a delineated approach to how the stipulations can be removed. I really like that, because then these are the things that I agree with, and then I could go back and forth and reference how, if I feel that the stipulations could be removed in this manner, if we could add more, and so on and so forth. That was really helpful.
Committee Member Forbes.
So as a team lead, thinking about this, having just struggled through writing some of these reports in a short amount of time at the site, and even more than that, bringing the team to consensus in some situations. So I don't know what the feedback has been from the teams, but it seems like this consistently, inconsistently, and not evidence would really promote that discussion across the whole team, including the programs cluster, that would help you to wade through some of the narrative that we used to generate and produce the narrative based on what we agree should go in those columns.
That has been the feedback we've gotten, particularly from some of the more difficult visits, that it really, one, buys them time to have those discussions because they don't feel the pressure as much to kind of get every little nook and cranny written, and that it also quantifies it a little bit better visually so that they can really hone in on what those areas are. So we have gotten that feedback back, particularly from the difficult visits. So,
Committee Member Borges.
I think, having done this a few times, it really facilitates being consistent, and it also provides you, it's kind of like this, it provides, make sure that you're covering everything and you're doing it consistently, and also bringing the team to consensus, and that it focuses on being expository, which is supposed to be expository. So I think this is wonderful. Both of them.
Okay.
One thing that has been brought up by this body previously that I don't think it facilitates is that when we first started this, there was sort of like, well, maybe there can be a similar chart to that green chart that's like, if there's this number of inconsistents, how many, and it doesn't do that because some parts of the standard carry heavier weight. And so an inconsistency in like maybe a mentor match or a field, a field work issue, or covering the TPEs, that could be a louder noise than something else that's I'm not pulling to the top of my head that's in a common standard. So it won't ever be a thing where like 4 inconsistencies equal a met with concerns and 5 is a not met. We don't think the way the standards are written, but it still does give you that snapshot look And I think I heard during this meeting times when or maybe it was a previous meeting, where questions were asked around the inconsistency. So it might help you in the deliberating about whether you agree with the recommendation or not.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Whitby.
For my site visit, my 5 site visits this year, we had a variety of people who had embraced and advanced with the new program standards. Some had not yet gotten there, but the report still allows you to differentiate between, yes, they haven't moved forward, but the quality is still there, versus they haven't moved forward, they're living in the dark ages, they're not getting services. So, and you could
Right.
make a difference in the recommendations because of that.
That's a good point. Good point. Coach Moore.
So, being in the thick of it right now, I'm thinking about the program summary, which is generated by the institution for the team to use for the site visit. But not all, so I see the same format with program design, course of study, assessment of candidates. That's awesome. You know, that consistency actually from program review through program summary. However, the content, I'm just clarifying, the content from the program summary that the institution provides is modified so that it's not as dense for the program report.
Yeah,
right. It does inform the team. I'm just using, because it says right here, modify to include evidence and findings. But you're not going to take the whole program summary that the institution has provided. You're going to pull out key, maybe the team members would pull out key sentences.
Well,
or
yes, that's very true. I think ultimately what we tell the team members on the site visit is to use what they feel comfortable using and that they've confirmed at the visit. They may modify, they may toss out the program summary and start over with their own, based on this. If the program summary doesn't do the trick for them or isn't what they see as reality, ideally the program summary should give them a good start on basically adding to it, subtracting where they need to. So they add in the evidence that they've seen, the information about the interviews, and that becomes, so it's a starting place for them and a way to understand the program pretty quickly.
And regardless of whether they use it to help them launch their writing or not, it allows the institution to provide context and understanding. And the program summaries really help with the program reports, and we are not suggesting that the program reports are changed.
Right.
Really, the new template only changes the common standards portion of the team report.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I think pretty universally they love it, I think. I mean, I'm asking the other consultants who've been out in the field too. What have you heard?
I felt like the team did appreciate it, and they felt like they were guided more appropriately to have a more consistent report. Because before it was kind of an open report and they were trying to figure out exactly, and having it's interesting, just having the little blocks and the pieces that they needed to complete, it helped them focus instead of looking at everything, which was sometimes hard for folks that were collecting a lot of evidence. And then they had two notebooks full of evidence and didn't know what to write. And so I think this has helped with that. I would say the one question that has come across is just the definition of the word consistent. Does that mean perfect? That was the only thing and I think part of that will come through the new training and that people will understand it better and they'll get all of the pieces together. So
consistent and comprehensive.
Yeah, Ms. Roby.
And I do not know the answer for this, but I wonder, with the program reports not being changed and the common standards reports being changed, are we asking unequal commitments in writing from the two sides of the both reports? Because I've had several where the program people are still writing into the night, while the common standard people, 200 words, I'm done, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that may cause us to look at how the teams are configured, and how the weight is carried on that. But That's a good question. I wrote it down.
Yeah, good point. Committee Member Riggs.
Just related to how the teams are configured when I wonder what that means, what you just said, Catherine. What are the implications of that? Because the one thing I do worry about on visits is that some team members have so much on one person looking at lots of programs or variations of programs by themselves. Yeah, so
that's a challenge no matter what we do right now, because we don't want to send out a team member for every program, because at San Bernardino it would have been 20 some odd people. So what we try to do is work with the institution to kind of cluster the programs and make sure that somebody is only reviewing 3 or less programs that are hopefully connected in some manner, multiple single subject, or maybe bilingual and multiple subject, those kinds of things. But then you have the larger institutions that have totally unrelated things like school counseling and nursing. So those become very problematic in terms of keeping the numbers of team members down, because if there are issues that pop up in the school nursing, you have to have somebody who has a background in school nurse. So it does get really, really challenging. And we just have to constantly reevaluate the team members as we go through the year to say, this one's really going to need some help and we'll have to add somebody or whatever.
One thing that has happened a couple of times, which if the new template is used across institutions, might alleviate some guilt on, like, Cheryl and my part when we're calling these people, is that in the past, common standards have really been left to their own, right? That's all they write. And now if there is kind of an unusual, we might be able to say, can you do part of the common standards and APE and BILA, because they do have a little bit more room in their schedule. The other thing is that because a subset of the reviewers from program review, and we've been really successful on them going to the visit. There's been very few visits for next year where there's the person's coming out of left field to review. They weren't part of program review. So there is some familiarity already with the programs. And so we don't know yet, because yellow will be the first group that had program review. But hopefully that will also lighten the load a little bit, maybe not in the writing, but in the prepping, because they will have already become familiar with the programs. That's the hope.
Any other comments or discussion? I think so, yeah. It is not an action item, but the general consensus seems to be so, yep. All right, thank you, Ms. Hickey. We now move on to public comment. Any member of the public have anything it wishes to say? No, it says no action, yes. Yeah, no action. Okay. So any member of the public have anything wishes to say? All right, hearing none, and having no further business, I adjourn the May 2018 meeting of the Committee on Accreditation. Next meeting of the committee will be on June 28th, 2018. Thank you all.
Remember, it's